how's it going? This is Cross the Rubicon channel. I watched a speech given by Peter Williams. I watched it today, and I watched it about a week ago. It's a speech that you have to listen to a few times. Now, Peter Williams is an ex-New Zealand anchor on the news. He's a conservative. I think he supports the National Party, but I'm not going to hold that against him. But he's more conservative than national, I would say. And coming towards the end of his career, which was around about this time last year, he was a radio host, and he gave me 2 or 3 chances because I called him and introduced myself. He knew me, and many of his listeners knew me, and he gave me, a good opportunity to have my say. Needless to say, he didn't last too long after that, and he was made to, well, I'm not sure whether he was made to, but he retired, and it happened pretty quick. So anyway, he gave this speech, and I think it was down south somewhere, Balclutha or Gore, something like that, somewhere right down the south. And he spoke about Hepuapua 3 Waters and the Mahutas and the Mahuta family, and Willie Jackson gets a mention, and Rawiri Waititi gets a mention, and basically he goes into some depth of what's happening in New Zealand. And that's why he's an ex-journalist, ex-anchor, because he doesn't buy into the narrative of what's happening. And I'll leave a link to that speech below, you can have a look. And I know for them outside New Zealand, it's hard to understand what's happening, because a lot of it's written in Maori, Hepuapua, and whatever. It can be quite difficult. But for them in New Zealand, they should listen to it and understand it, because these super elite Maori troffers, as I've always called them, these people are really, really racist, and they are money grubbing big time, and they are going to screw this country over. They really are. This is like Zimbabwe. This is like South Africa. Honestly, this is happening in New Zealand, and most people don't realise, because the media don't tell you about it. And as Peter Williams says in his speech below, the media are paid. They are paid not to tell you about it, because that's all part of the Hepuapua document. It's basically Hepuapua, the document, comes down from the United Nations, and the Mahuta family, the dirty, stinking, corrupt, nepotistic family of the Mahutas, they were part and parcel of writing the Hepuapua 3 Waters document, and in it says the media have to support the Treaty of Waitangi, or the Treaty of Waitangi, if you like, and fully support the partnership. There was no partnership in the treaty. This is a lie. This is a lie that's being propagated by the media and politicians, non-Maori politicians, especially Maori politicians, and especially Jacinda Ardern. It's one huge lie. And New Zealand really is at such a point where the vast majority of people are terrified to question anything to do with what these super elite Maoris are doing. They are terrified, because they get called racist and they might lose their jobs. And like I say, the media will question nothing, because their jobs rely on that government funding. in this country believe democracy has failed them, has failed Maori. And these people are multi-millionaires. And they're saying that democracy and freedom has failed them. And they're all millionaires. And this Hepuapua document, the Three Waters, which is part of the Hepuapua document, is handing over all water, fresh water, rainwater, lakes, rivers, all water in New Zealand, and anything to do with water, all the assets, all the infrastructure, handing over every single bit of it to these Maori elites. And if the media don't promote that as a great thing, then they don't get funding. And this Jacinda Ardern is promoting. And this is why I highlighted this well over a year ago, and this is why they came after me. So Peter Williams is new to this. Many people are new to this, but the reason they came after me last year was because I made the first video about it, and I went into detail because I had the unredacted Hepuapua documents in front of me, and I read bits of it out. Most people in New Zealand would rather bury their heads in the sand, and they'd rather attack myself as just being a racist and a white supremacist, because that's what Maori and the far leftists and the media and politicians would call me, because they know it's not true, but they have to dehumanise me and tell lies about me in order to rubbish my name, besmirch me, character assassinate me, so no one listens to me. So I'll leave a link below to the Peter Williams video and have a look yourself. And Peter Williams says it succinctly. And he's a big name in New Zealand, very trusted. And he's just saying what I've been saying, that's all. These people, the Mahootas, the Willie Jacksons, your Tukakis, Lawiri Waititi, Debbie Nariwapaka, JT, what's his name, Coffee or whatever, Tamati Coffee, they reckon democracy needs to be tweaked in New Zealand. So it's not one man, one vote. They want Maori votes to be worth more than anybody else's vote. They want them to be elevated to a different position, a higher position. And all of them are only part Maori, all of them. This is the scandal. I wrote an email today to a journalist from Stuff who wrote a hit piece on me about 3 weeks ago. I won't mention a name on here, and it's on my Telegram account. Have a look at my Telegram, Across the Rubicon 123, and I told her what I think of, not so much her because I've never met her, but what I think of journalism and the media in New Zealand, and how they are so untrusted now by people who are awake. I think it's quite a good written piece. There's no abuse in it, just facts basically. Because there is no journalists in New Zealand anymore. If you're a good journalist in New Zealand, you won't be working, you'll be sacked. They're just propagandists for the government and radical extremist EB right at the very top of the tree. The extremists. You Willie Jackson, Rawiri Waititi, Debbie Nariwapaka, and tribal leaders. They're the big ones, the tribal leaders of Ngāi and all the other tribes up and down New Zealand who are going to get ownership of water for sake. They're even going to own the rainwater that lands on your roof. Nobody should own water. The media and politicians, they won't even challenge it. That's how screwed we are in New Zealand. Okay, I'm on my way to Carl Bromley's for a meeting. Carl Bromley is running for mayor of Christchurch, and I support him 1,000,000%, as you know. And he's not even getting a mention, Carl, in the media. He's not getting a mention on any radio shows. He's not getting a mention in the printed press. Because why? Because he's against Hepuapua 3 waters. The whole narrative is completely taken over. They have everything sewn up in New Zealand. Everything. Even Chris Lynch. Right, there you go, I named him. Chris Lynch of Christchurch. He won't even mention Carl Bromley. Not even a mention. Carl Bromley is the only one that actually says it. I'm totally against it. 3 waters Hepuapua. And yeah, he doesn't get mentioned by Chris Lynch. What does that say about you, Chris Lynch? Do you really believe in fairness and democracy? Do you? I say otherwise the way you're acting at the minute. You might not like Carl's views on other things, but you've interviewed 1 or maybe 2 of the other candidates, and you're making this into a 2-horse race. Carl and 2 others are in this race, but you want to write them off because you don't like, maybe, I'm guessing, but you don't like 1 or 2 of Carl's views on other stuff. That stinks. You should give him an opportunity. Okay, it's getting late, it's getting dark, and I'm going to wrap this up. But for the people out there that listen to Chris Lynch, you phone him up, you send him an email, you send him a message in whatever way possible, and you tell him what I'm saying across the Rubicon. I'm only small fry compared to him, the reach he's got. And you ask him why he won't give Carl a fair shot. And anybody else in the media as well. Because the media stinks in New Zealand. Even the media that you think is on your side isn't. They're not on your side. They're against you. The media is not representative of the people anymore. They just promote the narrative of the government. And the government is just simply do. As we know. Come on, mate. Come on, mate. You know what you're doing. Pardon me, that was just a very bad bit of driving. I by someone in front of me. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Just get in touch and say your piece with the media. Phone up these radio stations. Send messages to Chris Lynch and ask him why he isn't promoting Carl Bromley. Because the others are just yes men. That's just a fact. They are just yes men. They will do exactly what the government tell them to do. And what's her name? Nanaia Mahuta, corrupt as the whole family, worth millions and millions of your taxpayers' money, made rich, all by the taxpayer, like all iwi. And they don't even pay taxes on any of their businesses. Do you know that? Iwi, worth billions. Iwi are. These are tribes. Them outside New Zealand, iwi means tribes. They have businesses and they don't even pay tax. That's why we all pay extra taxes. That's why New Zealand is a very expensive place to live, because we've got to cover the taxes that they don't pay. And that's why they hate me, because I'm saying what I'm saying right now. But guess what? I'll keep saying it. I'm not afraid to say it. And they hate my guts for it, don't they? The media is the fourth estate, and they're failing on an epic scale to research, look for truth. They say they look for truth, but they don't want to know the truth. All they do is push the narrative, the government narrative. That's all they do. And lie about people like myself and Carl Bromley and many other people. Okay, I think I've said enough. It's nearly 18 minutes, blimey. This is Cross the Rubicon. Please like, leave a comment, share, subscribe, and promote Carl Bromley for mayor. Otherwise you're just going to get much the same. This is not going to change, because the other is just going to capitulate straight away to these Maori extremists. See you later.